Alright, let's settle this. Everyone's saying coding is dead. ChatGPT can build apps. Your manager uses no-code tools. GitHub's CEO literally said we should teach kids prompt engineering instead of programming. So here's the million-dollar question. If AI can write code better than most bootcamp grads, why are companies still desperately hiring developers? Why did that startup that built everything with AI just post a panicked job listing for a real engineer? And why are senior devs making more money than ever while juniors can't get callbacks? Grab your coffee or your copium, whatever gets you through existential crises, because we're about to dive into the beautiful disaster that is programming in 2025. Cast your mind back to 2012. Obama's on TV telling everyone to learn to code. Code.org is teaching kindergartners to make loops with cartoon characters. Journalists getting laid off. Learn to code. Coal miners losing jobs. Learn to code. Having a midlife crisis? Brother, have you considered learning to code? It was beautiful. It was naive. It was peak Silicon Valley solutionism. The logic was simple. Software is eating the world, tech companies are printing money, and there's an infinite demand for developers. What could possibly go wrong? Coding bootcamps sprouted like mushrooms after rain. 3 months and $15,000 later, you too could be making six figures at a tech company. Everyone had that one friend who went from bartender to software engineer and wouldn't shut up about it at parties. And for a while, it actually worked. The job market was so hot that if you could spell JavaScript, someone would hire you. Bootcamp grads were getting snapped up before they even finished. Self-taught developers were building the next unicorn in their garage. The American dream had a new syntax, and it was written in Python. Then November 2022 happened. ChatGPT entered the chat. And suddenly that thing we'd been telling everyone to learn, the skill that was supposed to future-proof your career, turns out a language model trained on Stack Overflow could do it better than half the people we'd convinced to learn it. The same tech leaders who spent a decade evangelizing coding as the new literacy are now saying things like, prompt engineering is the skill of the future, and AI will write most code by 2030. So we spent 10 years telling people to learn a skill that's apparently becoming obsolete faster than you can say npm install. But here's where it gets interesting. Because while everyone's panicking about AI replacing programmers, something weird is happening. Developer salaries are still going up, companies are still desperately hiring, and that friend who learnt to code, they're making more money than ever. So what the hell is going on? But here's where it gets spicy. While everyone's celebrating how AI democratized coding, we've accidentally created the dumbest problem in tech history. Companies right now, we don't need junior developers anymore. AI can do all that basic stuff. Also companies right now, why can't we find any senior developers? Where did they all go? I don't know, Carol from HR, where do you think senior developers come from? You think they just spawn at level 60 with full knowledge of distributed systems? This isn't World of Warcraft. You can't skip the tutorial and jump straight to the raid boss. The data backs this up. Computer programmer jobs are down 10%, but software developer jobs up 17%. Sounds contradictory until you realize what's happening. Nobody wants code monkeys anymore. They want software architects and AI wranglers and prompt engineers, which is just a fancy way of saying people who know enough to fix what the AI breaks. We've created a system where entry-level developers can't get hired because AI does their job, but AI can't do the senior developer's job because it requires actual understanding. So where exactly are tomorrow's senior devs supposed to come from? It's like saying we don't need medical students because we have WebMD. Sure, WebMD can diagnose your headache as either dehydration or brain cancer, but you still want someone who went to actual medical school when it matters. Let me explain vibe coding for those blessed enough to have missed this cultural moment. You know how in the old days, and by old days I mean 2019, developers would understand their code, like actually comprehend what each line did? That's dead now. Now we vibe. Here's how modern development works. You have a vague idea. You ask ChatGPT. It spits out code that looks plausible. You run it. It doesn't work. You tell ChatGPT it doesn't work. It apologizes and gives you different code. Repeat until something compiles. Ship it. 70% of developers now use AI coding assistants. Want to know how many trust the code these assistants produce? 3%. 3%. We've built an entire industry on tools we fundamentally don't trust. It's like if 70% of pilots used autopilot that they knew was probably drunk. My favorite quote about this comes from an engineering manager who said, AI is like alcohol. It amplifies what you already are. If you're a great developer, AI makes you faster. If you're a terrible developer, AI helps you create terrible code at unprecedented scale. We haven't solved bad coding. We've given it wings, and look, I get it. I use Copilot. It's incredible for boilerplate. Need a React component. Boom. Need to parse JSON? Done. Need it to understand your business logic? Well, now you're asking it to do something it's about as qualified for as I am to perform surgery. Microsoft's CEO went on record saying 95% of code could be AI generated by 2030. Let me translate that for you. 95% of code will be technical debt by 2030. You know what's already happening at companies using AI heavily? Developers spend maybe 20% less time writing code and 300% more time debugging whatever fresh hell the AI created. It's not replacing developers, it's creating job security through chaos. I talked to a developer at a startup that went all in on AI-generated code. Their codebase is what I can only describe as architectural jazz. Nothing follows patterns. Functions do 3 things when they should do 1. Variable names look like someone fell asleep on their keyboard. But it works, kind of, sometimes. The best part? When something breaks, nobody knows why. The code is like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. We know it means something, but the context is lost to time. Or in this case, lost to whatever fever dream the AI was having when it wrote it. This is the reality gap nobody wants to talk about. Yes, AI can generate code, but code isn't just about making something run. It's about making something maintainable, scalable, secure, and debuggable by humans who didn't write it. AI is fantastic at the first part and catastrophically bad at everything else. But wait, it gets better. While developers are fighting with AI, the business world discovered low-code and no-code platforms. Suddenly, everyone's a developer. Your marketing manager built a quick dashboard in Airtable that now handles critical business data. Your CFO made an app in Bubble that processes actual money. That intern who started last week, he connected 17 Zapier automations that nobody understands, but everyone's afraid to touch because the entire sales pipeline depends on them. 41% of businesses now have active citizen developer programs. That's corporate speak for we let Karen from accounting build production software. And you know what? Sometimes it works great for about 6 months. Then Karen gets promoted, nobody knows how her masterpiece works, and you're hiring consultants at $500 per hour to untangle the digital spaghetti she left behind. I saw a company that built their entire inventory system in Google Sheets with some app script. Worked fine when they had 100 products. Worked okay at 1,000. At 10,000, the spreadsheet achieved sentience and chose violence. Loading it crashed browsers. The script started timing out. But by then it was so deeply integrated into their workflow that replacing it would cost more than their annual revenue. This is the no-code paradox. It's powerful enough to create problems, but not powerful enough to solve them. It's like giving everyone a chainsaw and saying, now you're all lumberjacks. Sure, trees will fall. Houses might also fall, possibly some limbs. After all this doom and gloom, you're probably wondering, should you even bother learning to code? Is it worth spending months or years learning something that AI can supposedly do better? Here's the thing, and I'm going to be straight with you because someone needs to be. The question isn't whether you should learn to code. The question is what coding even means anymore. Learning to code in 2025 isn't about memorizing syntax. It's not about knowing 17 different sorting algorithms. It's about understanding systems. It's about knowing when the AI is lying to you. It's about being able to look at generated code and say, that's going to crash in production, and here's why. 82% of people learning to code now use AI assistants. Fine, great, use the tools, but also understand what they're doing. The paradox we've created is beautiful in its stupidity. Everyone uses AI to code. Nobody trusts AI code. Companies desperately need senior developers, but won't hire juniors. New developers can't become seniors without being juniors first. It's an Ouroboros of poor planning, and we're all stuck in it together. You know what the highest paid developers do in 2025? They fix what AI breaks. They understand systems well enough to know why the generated code that works on my machine destroys production. They can architect solutions instead of just stitching together whatever ChatGPT suggests. The future isn't no more coding. The future is everyone needs to understand code well enough to not create disasters. You don't need to be a chef to eat, but you should probably know when the food is poisoned. So yes, learn to code. Not because you'll be writing every line by hand like some digital monk. Learn it because in a world where everyone can generate code, understanding code is the only competitive advantage left. Welcome to the future of development. It's exactly like the past, except now the mistakes compile.